tell us about what excites you today about Fast Track?
There is so much stuff that has happened. I think we've just transitioned into the next phase in our growth right now. We just crossed the line of 100 people in the organization. And you know me, so I don't want to have a lot of people. I actually don't like that. I want to have a very trimmed and small organization. I like to avoid hiring as much as I can, but it still shows that we're quite effective and efficient as an organization. And then reaching 100 people, it's starting to come to a size now where both partners and employees and that engagement and everything that is happening, there's just a lot going on. When I look back at the last 12 months, I think we did a retrospective when we did the growth summit with our internal teams. We could see that we did as much in the last 12 months between September and September in that previous 12-month period that we did in the first in the previous 4 years. So we have essentially doing the same amount of output and product development and all of these different things and improving the business at such a rapid pace right now, and that's exciting. And we're stepping into this new phase. I mean, we are more than 150 operators using Fast Track today. There are, in the last 6 months, I believe we have close to 1,500 end users. These are people in the gaming industry that are interacting with our platforms every day and experiencing everything that we've built. And I think that's quite empowering for our team, I think, and everyone that has been involved in building that experience to be able to see that.
And if we do like a mini retro of 2023, like what are some of the highlights?
I think for the second year running, we got the Great Place to Work certificate. I think that was important. I think it was important to us as founders in the business to be able to recognize we always put so much effort into people and how they feel about working there. And we always believe that was a cornerstone in delivering like a world-class experience to our partners. And you remember when we enrolled in the first Great Place to Work sort of certification process, it was the first time we actually got an external auditor, more or less, like looking at engagement within the organization. And we achieved over 90% trust index in the first run, and we were over the moon, and we were just like, wow, that is so exceptional. And we could see how that compared to some of the best workplaces in Europe, like the top workplaces in Europe. And we were like, wow, that is really good. And now we managed to do that for the second year running, going from, I think at the time we were about 60 employees, and now we're like close to 100, and then still maintaining that. That is an incredible achievement. And then you see how that is translated, like the level of engagement. Everyone is just so switched on. We have such a clear focus on how we're going to digitalize the industry and deliver the first self-learning engagement platform. And you can really tell how everyone has just aligned themselves with that mission and how they're doing everything in their power to just deliver such an exceptional experience to our partners. And the next thing that we got really proud of is that we're obsessing over the NPS, right? Net Promoter Score. That obsession started a couple of years ago when we started looking at, okay, how can we measure satisfaction in a much more ongoing way without having to do these like big surveys every time? How can we get tuned in? How can we have a finger on the pulse of what people are actually thinking? And I personally really like simplicity and these type of mechanics. So asking a simple question to the end users, would you recommend Fast Track to a friend or a colleague in the industry? And having an overwhelming 76 as an NPS score. And we've been able to maintain that now. And we are like trending positively as well. We're soon going to pass 80, which is a testament for all of the hard work that the team was doing every day. And that we are truly going over and beyond to meet and deliver against sort of that promise of excellence and world-class that we want to represent as an organization. It started with a Great Place to Work and that engagement from the staff and how that's translated into what we're doing in product development and service and really trying to go that extra mile. The number of feature releases and everything that has happened with Singularity model, the fact that we were first to market with generative AI and that we went in. I remember like we had that conversation in December. It's just like, shit, this is right down our alley. We need to get in here. We need to make the system truly productive, work with automatic translations, all of these different things. And the team just turned it around, boom. Like we came into ICE, it was just a month of development. And suddenly we had a complete suite of productivity tools. And I mean, like most of the platforms in the market, they didn't catch up until 3-4 months after we started seeing some like very small, minor and steps towards doing that. We already sort of flushing out. This year has been all about that. And I think that's really exciting. And the number of people we've hired, we don't have, this being from an employment perspective, hiring great people, and that we have managed to build an internal team that is able to source these candidates. I don't know how many people we brought in from abroad as well. Like, I don't know, we're creating a Malta 2.0, I think, over here, bringing in so many people from different locations. But we've been really good. I looked even at remember when we looked at the gender, like sort of split, we are actually hiring more than half, I think, like in the last 12 months have been women. I think everything is really going in the right direction.
So that's a lot of great stuff happening, right? But there's always an opposite to great. So if you have to, what are some of the lower points or perhaps the more challenging aspects that we've been through this year?
There is so much that has been really hard. I think for us as a leadership team, and especially for myself, being so involved in everything that has ever been going on in Fast Track, I think if you ask the team, they know the level of detail that I like to be involved in terms of understanding every single partner and what they're doing and what we're doing in product and the architecture. And it's really been like sort of a process of all of us, I think, especially in the senior leadership team, to now elevate ourselves and bring ourselves to the next level and say, okay, now we need to rely on the teams to start handing these things over, right? Empowering our teams and different individuals in the teams to lead these efforts and be able to do these things for us. And I think that's been, especially over the last year, any founder would probably agree that when you pass, a lot of people told me that beforehand, but you're like, sort of, okay, you work with it. But when we approached about 80 employees, then I think we started feeling that a little bit more, that leadership layer that is coming just underneath the senior leadership team, the head ofs and the team leads and all of that stuff. There is just so much more reliance on them to take the company to the next level. And we have been challenged in terms of being successful in that transition and actually elevating ourselves and getting us to the next level. And I think that's something that we're going to have to continue to do for a long time. We have had, technically, I think we have had a lot of complexity that we've met with different partners and their operation. We've always said that every operator is unique. We have to be able to mold Fast Track around the operator's strategy and how they operate their business. And we have done that very successfully, but the more we've moved closer to self-learning, the more AI we're embedding, the more complex it gets and more hard it gets for us to actually meet those demands. And we are investing so much resource in doing that right now, in embedding ourselves into the partnership in order to make sure that Fast Track can deliver on those promises. And that's been challenging. I mean, not the least because we have taken on some huge operators in terms of, the number of transactions that we're dealing with every second, and having a real-time platform that is able to transact in matter of milliseconds and managing loads of tens of thousands of seconds in some cases on some operators, to be able to do that, do all of the data modeling, do all the segmentation, have prediction models that are predicting in real time and be able to execute, that has complexity in itself. So there's been a lot of technical complexity. And I think also Singularity, which has been such an exciting rollout in terms of a product, the fact that we can now target players on a one-to-one basis and deliver self-learning. We really struggled getting operators to truly sort of adopt this product. Like everyone is looking at it and it's like, this is so exciting. And we have been faced with the complexity of like, okay, so how do I now take my business from this idea of working with the Singularity model, doing one-to-one experiences and working with AI in that way, actually getting live with it, right? And that took time. I mean, it's been really difficult. So I think that's something that we've also been challenged with, but I think we figured that out. And now we're coming out on the other side of that. We're having so many partners right now that are seeing the effects of working with the Singularity model and how much more performant you become and the engagement rates and how much they are increasing by actually working with one-to-one experiences with players. It takes your CRM to the next level. And and it's quite remarkable in that sense, but it was very difficult. It was very annoying, and it was a lot of feelings associated with the fact that not getting that like live and not getting it out on partners quickly enough. I think that was something that we have been reflecting on and said, that shapes how we do products right now. I think, how much effort do we put into tutorials and onboarding and adoption and all these different things in order to make that happen.
I want to go back to your reflections around leadership, and more in particular, your leadership. Like right now, as the CEO of Fast Track, what's your most important task?
For me, it's recruitment. So we have a very strong culture at Fast Track. And it started the first day we had just ourselves in an environment. I think like me, Chris and Hans sitting there and like coding, if you may, in the very early days. Not that much have changed in terms of what our viewpoints are and how business are supposed to be conducted. But it's super crucial that every person that we are bringing in are matching up with that culture, that we feel that they're aligned with our values, that they believe what we believe is important to individuals to create the right environment and all of these different things. And there are so many things that are where we could think different in terms of what we think about remote working or working at the office and creating that environment, or if you should be independent or working in teams, or how we structure work and planning and all of these different things. And I think recruitment becomes, for me, and I think most founders would probably agree to that as well, that is something that we should never let go, because we speak about this a lot, like where we've had this conversation, even to this day, I meet every candidate before a candidate is hired in Fast Track. You meet every candidate as chief people officer in Fast Track before they are hired. And I believe that is our most important thing that we're doing right now as we bring in people in, is to ensure that we continue to be in touch. And I'm proud that I know the name of every single person in my organization right now.
And apart from being involved in the building of our team through the recruitment process, what other actions from you as a CEO do you think really matters as we are scaling our culture?
When we're scaling our culture, as a leader, I think you have a duty and a responsibility to inject, to provide clarity to teams, a very clear vision and a direction in terms of where we're heading as a business, and be able to, in any conversation at any time, whether that be by the water cooler, by the kitchen, or whether it be like in a longer meeting, is to be able to tune in and align and direct and be able to put that like that we're heading in the right course, so that we can keep this. We're having 100 people now and hundreds of people in the future that are going to be worrying about how they are going to deliver their part in us taking us closer to achieving our vision. And we need to make sure that as leaders in the organization, and especially from my perspective, that everyone is running in the same direction. So providing that clarity is an absolute must for us to be able to achieve anything of substance.
Do you want to share some of the ways that you do that?
How do I do that? I think we've found, we started very early doing something like a weekly Friday business update. I think it's a very important forum for me to recognize the organization and the efforts that people are doing and that they are important. And also as an open forum, it's more like an all hands where I'm sharing everything that is going on in my mind so that people get a little bit of a window into it, right? Because we're so busy in everything that we're doing every day that it could be good to just zoom out and see, okay, what's actually happening on the wider stage right now and how is everything fitting together. That's one thing that we're doing that I think is important in terms of keeping that alignment over time. We have something that we call, it's the weirdest thing that we've created, which is the goals and milestones, which I don't know, like is a homebrew version of OKRs that we have created that is not OKRs at all, but it's some sort of a alignment on focus as an organization. And in the goals and milestones process, we are involving every single individual in the company in running towards our vision. So we are sort of shortlisting what the different obstacles are that we have to overcome as an organization. We feel that doing that on a 3 times per year gives us the right level of agility in order to navigate the landscape and be able to be swift enough in order to switch focus. We are super transparent as an organization, which means that usually in relation to these type of cycles, we also present all of the numbers and we show everyone how we're doing and what challenge we are having. And then we develop these goals and milestones, and it's typically driven by I usually set something as a high level objective, and then we break that down, and it usually becomes 10 or 12 different milestones. Sorry, it's 10 or 12 different goals, and within those, each goal would have an owner in the organization. It could be anyone from someone working in partner management or one of the leaders or anyone. And then they would, together with the team that they're assembling, actually create a couple of milestones that are going to represent the deliverable that we want to get done. And this has proven to be incredibly powerful for Fast Track in terms of actually getting that push. And I've noticed anything that I put in to the goals and milestones, it doesn't matter. It is going to move us in the right direction. So we put in, for example, we had adoption challenges with Singularity model, a year ago, and we put that on the list. And, in a quarter, boom, we see instant results. We see how things are moving in the right direction. So it's super cool. No, but the goals and milestones is an incredible platform for us in order to align our teams and create the right focus and engagement. And people love it because they are participating in the overall strategy of the company. That's where you can influence. You can come in, you can pitch, you can do things like you can actually influence the direction of the company, which is good. What I think is another thing that we do is that we don't just talk about the good stuff. And I think that's quite important when you want to create the right engagement in the organization, is that you gotta share the things that are going incredibly well. But you also you have to also be completely transparent when things are not going well. We do that on the Fridays. We do that every Friday. Fortunately, we don't have that much that are going against us at the time, but we have had situations where we've not been happy, whether it's been we have self-reflected and we've seen that we under-delivered against a partner, or we didn't deliver a product, we had too many incidents, or we are reflecting so much on how we're performing and how we're doing as a business. And we do that together. And I think I'm very vocal, I'm very open, but I'm happy. I think I can't hide my emotions. So it's like you try to hide them, but I can't. Like when I go in on the Friday, if I'm pissed off, I'm pissed off. It's like, and everyone is going to tell, like, I'm pissed off right now. But I think it's important. It's like, any team that is trying to perform together and build something together, you got to share both sides. It's like, it's just how it works. So those are a couple of examples, I think.
No, it's great. And then on Fridays, it's almost like you're having a one-on-one with the organization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it is like that. And I love that meeting. It's my meeting.
But speaking of the importance of direction and vision, if we look to the future a little bit right now, we have a new year around the corner, so 2024. What happens then?
What happens then? I think we've been traveling through now. So I mentioned it before. We're placed here in the world. Like Fast Track is here to sort of find, like, at the very, very core. If you rip out everything in Fast Track, it's about finding better ways, right? Always finding a better way. We're trying to reinvent how things are done. We have zoomed in on the fact that we want to digitalize the iGaming industry and deliver the first self-learning engagement platform. For us, that's a never-ending task. It's something that is always going to be a mission. I think it's going to be hard to say tick, like we've done that. But we're coming a lot closer. Like we have done so many aspects of the platform are self-learning today. Everything is just bleeding AI. Like it's just every aspect of the platform today. You can go through from a productivity perspective, how we redefine the work process and how we've made it effortless to create campaigns or do translations and do all of these things. So that's the help of generative AI and all of the movements that has happened in that space. But we also do so much exciting work in terms of our data science team. We brought in one of the most brilliant minds in the iGaming industry, Harald, who expressed an interest to join Fast Track in order to pursue this singularity vision that we have around self-learning. And he's developed today the most comprehensive churn prediction model that the market has ever seen. We have currently an exciting project going on around personas, where we are, for the very first time, we're actually able to regardless of brand and whichever operator you are, we have actually managed to narrow down certain player profiles that it's actually quite a wide range of them as well. And it's critical intrinsic behaviors that they are expressing. And we've done that by actually all of the vast experience that we have in the business around iGaming, but also talking to players, real players, and actually talking about how they play, and be able to extracted that information that allowed us to do data modeling around intrinsic behaviors to see. And that these profiles and these, what we call personas, they can be used in how to optimize and drive CRM strategies better. It gives operators now, when we're launching it, a better visibility of their database and who they are targeting and who they have in their database and what they need to develop in order to create a more impactful CRM strategy. We have models coming out of every hole of Fast Track. There are like prediction models in terms of what offers are being sent, in terms of generosity models, in terms of what we're offering, in terms of amounts that are predictions on how much people are likely to deposit. There's no aspect of Fast Track that is not bleeding AI at the moment, and that for me is very exciting. And coming into next year, there's going to be more of that, right? It's going to be how all of that is going to play together. But we are with product development, and when you try to do something that's never been done before, you keep running into blockers. And I do see that infrastructure is a blocker today. When you try to do like really compelling CRM strategies, you need to be able to do very compelling offers in that process as well. And there is a huge limitation in how that works in the industry today, like how, let's say, bonus platforms and bonus engines and the limitations that they have, which makes that we are soon going to run into a new barrier, which means that, okay, Fast Track has this singularity model, which can create one-to-one experiences, could potentially pick exactly what wagering requirement and amounts and what offer that would be constructed specifically for you as a player. But if you don't have the infrastructure to support it, if you don't have an API that is able to create the reward that is matching that, then you're not going to get anywhere. So we have some really, really exciting product development that is happening. We've got a game-changing product that we are planning to release in ICE. So we're gonna do that, a big reveal at ICE. I'm not gonna speak specifically what that is today, but it's a huge reveal at ICE. What's gonna happen next year as well, which is super exciting, is that we have now gone through this painful process of finding ways of how to onboard our operators onto the singularity model and start using the power of that platform. We are now seeing the results of that work, and it's phenomenal. Like the take up in engagement rates are incredible, even in the very infancy on taking advantage of this, because the platform is just doing much a better job identifying what offers and are to be sent and what time and in what channel than what you are as an individual able to execute and do from an administrative perspective. And now we're seeing that coming to fruition, and we can see the results and see them in front of us, how much that is just now improving. So next year, what we're going to see is that the fast track operators are just going to accelerate. Like, they're going to be a completely different breed. The operators that are assuming the singularity model and start working with self-learning and one-to-one experiences and taking that very seriously, they are very quickly now going to have an exponential increase in growth in terms of how well they are conducting CRM compared to their peers and competitors in the space. You're going to see a lot more stories and storytelling and operators probably partly speaking about it, but partly keeping it to themselves as well, because it's a competitive advantage. But if you don't have, it's going to become very clear that people that don't have the right infrastructure and don't have the right platforms and tools in place, they're going to be falling behind, and they're going to fall behind so quickly now, because everything is just compounding. It's just compounding on top of each other, and one thing after another, the performance of these brands are going to be so much more better. So that's exciting. I'm also very excited about Greco, which we're working so closely with, tackling these issues of bonus abuse, and how we're investing so much resource right now in how we're going to embed the insights that we are gaining from the comprehensive AI modeling that is happening inside Greco and for the Greco partners, and how that is now feeded back into the CRM platform in a very comprehensive way as well, it will sort of help operators drive CRM strategies that look completely different. Because now for the very first time, we're going to see, oh, are my players actually legitimate players that I want to engage with? Are the people that are picking up my campaigns and my promotions and are engaging with my brand, are these the ones that I actually want to engage? Or are the right players, the legitimate players, the ones that are not trying to abuse my value and extract value from my promotions, are these the guys that I want to engage with? We're going to get that black and white now. Marketing and acquisition strategies are going to be turned around as well from this perspective, because you're going to be able to get this traffic light system where you can see very early in a player's life cycle whether or not these guys are value seekers or pure shout exploiters, someone that is trying to steal your money, or if they are legitimate players. And this type of classifications has never been done before. And they are also, like the guys over at Greco are, I'm amazed, because they have a proper strategy how they're going to reach true value modeling. And they as a team, we're going to be the first team that is going to release the true value modeling and be able to see the true value of every player. It's a long-term vision. It's something that we're working with, probably going to take another year or two, but it's going to get there, and we're moving very quickly. So it's so much exciting stuff that is happening right now.
And if we quickly just zoom out a bit from Fast Track and how we flavor the industry, next year, what are some of the major happenings? Maybe that can be obstacles, changes, innovations, trends that you envision the iGaming industry experiencing?
I wasn't prepared for that question. That's a tough one.
Let's say the equivalent of AI this year.
Yeah, well, it's not going to be like a new. I don't see like this. Like, it's hard to. That's the thing, right? It's hard to know what's coming before it's coming. AI is going to be a very dominant thing. I think things are calming down a little bit. Like, everyone was like really. It was flipping everyone's minds when ChatGPT came out, because it suddenly became so real and it became so close and it became so you could touch it and use it. And it's like suddenly for the first time, AI was available to everyone in a way which we couldn't imagine, I think, would ever happen. And then, but AI is playing a very big part right now. So I think I come back to the same point. I think what's going to become even more apparent over the years to come is who are the ones that have the technical infrastructure, who is set up to build for the future, and who are not. Because there is going to be a separation of companies that they just start floating away, and they start just accelerating and running at a pace that the other guys can't keep up with, because they have the foundation built in. Like, there's this Swedish show called Nile City, and in that guy, there's a Percy Nilegård. It's a fantastic show. I love that show. Used to watch it when I was a kid. And then Percy Nilegård is like Farbror Barbro, and this guy calls. Anyway, it doesn't matter. He says there's no shortcuts to the perfect sound, and that's the same with AI. It's not like you're gonna be able to shortcut your way to AI. The players that are gonna make it are the ones that have built the technical infrastructure, a data layer that is able to provide that level of scalability, something that you have the raw data structured in a way where you can build these things. We have helped so many operators overcome that challenge, and we are helping so many operators doing that right now. And they realize that is something that is going to have to take, but there's not going to be like I can buy off the shelf AI and then suddenly that is the silver bullet that is going to take my business to the next thing. No, it's going to be a constant game of evolution, experimentation, and testing that is going to take that to the next level. And you're going to need the right infrastructure and the right people in order to support you to do that. And that's going to become painfully apparent, I think, over next year and the years after that, in how certain companies are just going to have struggles to grow, and other companies are just going to seem to be sailed by. That, I think, is one thing.